Time now for our fantasy football must-starts and must-sits for Week 16. If you're watching this video, congratulations on making your fantasy football championship. Now let's go win that title. With quarterbacks, the must-starts: Matt Ryan, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston, and Phillip Rivers. Our success rate for quarterbacks, 68.2%. That's about 8.2 out of 12 that we get correct each week. And our sleeper of the week, Kyler Murray. For a rookie, Kyler Murray hasn't had a bad year. He's 7th out of all quarterbacks in fantasy football and has somewhat of a decent matchup this week against the Seahawks. Murray completed 69% of his passes and rushed for a touchdown the last time he faced Seattle. The must-sits: Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew, Jared Goff, Eli Manning, and Sam Darnold. And our bust of the week, Tom Brady. I wouldn't say he's falling off a cliff, but he's not a fantasy football superstar anymore. In the last 9 games, Brady has thrown for 300 yards just once. In that same span, he's thrown for no more than 1 touchdown in 5 of those games. I get the name value, but he's not going to win you a fantasy football title. Running backs, the must-starts: Devontae Freeman, Joe Mixon, Kenyon Drake, Marlon Mack, and Adrian Peterson. Our success rate for running backs, 63.8%. That's about 7.7 out of 12 each week. In our sleeper of the week, David Montgomery. Alright, let's admit it. Montgomery hasn't been great this season. We on this channel never understood the preseason hype on him, but man, if there's any week to play him, it's this week. Kansas City is in the bottom 3 when it comes to facing running backs in fantasy football. Good matchup, but consider him nothing more than a flex. The must-sits: Kareem Hunt, Wes Hills, Carlos Hyde, Sony Michel, and Devin Singletary. And our bust of the week, James Conner. In his first game back, Conner had only 8 carries last week. You would think it was to ease him back in, but instead Pittsburgh used a committee approach. No guarantee that Conner goes back to being a 3-down back against the Jets, who surprisingly has one of the best rush defenses in the NFL. Wide receivers, the must-starts: Michael Gallup, Courtland Sutton, Tyler Boyd, T.Y. Hilton, and Tyler Lockett. Our success rate for receivers, 58.1%. That's about 7 out of 12 each week. And our sleeper of the week, Will Fuller. There's too many injuries for people to realize, but when healthy, Fuller is a decent wide receiver 2 in fantasy football. He averages 7 targets a game this year, and going up against arguably the worst secondary in football, Fuller is due for a breakout game. The must-sits: John Brown, Kenny Golladay, Brandon Cooks, Greg Ward, and Robbie Anderson. And our bust of the week, Tyrell Williams. I understand that this is a revenge game for Williams, but look at the numbers. Williams hasn't had a game with more than 4 receptions since week 2. He's wide receiver 1 on the Raiders depth chart, but hardly involved in the game plan. Tight ends, the must-starts: Jared Cook, Noah Fant, Hunter Henry, Dallas Goedert, and Jacob Hollister. Our success rate for tight ends, 66.7%. That's 8 out of 12 each week. And our sleeper of the week, O.J. Howard. It's been a disappointing year for O.J. Howard so far, but the season isn't over yet. In the last 3 games, Howard has seen 19 targets. He now has a great matchup against the Texans defense that's given up 89 yards a game to tight ends the last 5 weeks. The must-sits: David Njoku, Jason Witten, Jimmy Graham, Vance McDonald, and Jonnu Smith. And our bust of the week, Jack Doyle. Doyle was expected to have an increased role once Eric Ebron was placed on IR. His snap count has increased, but the production is relatively the same. Coupled with the fact that Carolina is allowing only 3 receptions a game to tight ends, Doyle can safely be dropped to the waivers. Kickers, the must-starts: Randy Bullock, Brandon McManus, Kaimi Fairbairn, Chase McLaughlin, and Jason Myers. Our success rate for kickers, 67.4%. That's 8.1 out of 12 each week. In our sleeper of the week, Matt Prater. Sweet, sweet revenge. Prater returns to Mile High for the first time since being released by the Broncos in 2014. The Broncos have given up a minimum of 2 field goals in 5 of the last 7 games. The must-sits: Stephen Hauschka, Eddie Pinheiro, Daniel Carlson, Nick Folk, and Sam Ficken. And our bust of the week, Zane Gonzalez. There once was a time where Gonzalez was the highest scoring kicker in fantasy football this year, but as of late, he's slowly declining. He hasn't had a multi-field goal game in 4 weeks, and the Seahawks have allowed just 2 field goals in the last 3 games. Defense and special teams, the must-starts: the Bills, Broncos, Ravens, Steelers, and the Chiefs. Our success rate for defense, 63%. That's about 7.6 out of 12 each week. And our sleeper of the week, the Washington Redskins. But Hassan, the Redskins defense sucks. Well, you'd be surprised. They're definitely bad, but they're the best of the bad defenses, if that makes any sense. Against bottom 10 offenses, the Redskins average close to 3 turnovers and 4 sacks a game. The must-sits: the Packers, Buccaneers, Rams, Eagles, and the Titans. And our bust of the week, the Carolina Panthers. Recency bias will tell you that the Colts offense is bad because they were dismantled on Monday night. But that's not quite true. They're still a top 12 offense, and with Carolina giving up close to 6 yards a carry on the ground, Marlon Mack and the Colts run game should explode against Carolina. As always, be sure to like this video and leave a comment down below asking your fantasy football questions. We all need second opinions. We all have to make this right if we want to win a fantasy football title. Leave your questions in the comments. I try my absolute best to respond to you guys, but if I can't get to you in time, other people will respond and help you guys out. This is going to be a thread where we help each other out in winning a title. And subscribe to this channel so you can stay up to date when we come out with more fantasy football videos. Also, don't hesitate to hit me up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The username for all 3 is @TimeToFootball. Follow those accounts and slide in my DMs if you want to ask me questions that way. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching this video and best of luck in Week 16.